Human beings rarely form attachments randomly. The objects we keep, the hobbies we choose, and the time we dedicate to certain things often reveal quiet truths about our inner world. Not everything we value is practical. Some attachments are symbolic, some are emotional, and some become small rituals through which a person quietly expresses who they are. Because sometimes what someone chooses to rebuild says more about them than what they choose to buy. And nowhere is this more visible than in a very particular kind of person, the person who restores classic cars. Some people drive cars, some people buy cars, but a smaller group of people chooses something different. They search for vehicles that time has already tried to erase. Cars with faded paint, engines that barely turn, metal frames quietly surrender to rust. To most people, these machines look like problems waiting to happen. To them, they look like possibilities. They don't simply own these cars, they bring them back, piece by piece, bolt by bolt, hour by hour. Sometimes for months, sometimes over the years. What looks like a mechanical project from the outside is often something much deeper on the inside. Because restoring a classic car is rarely just about transportation. It is about restoration itself. On the surface, the activity seems practical. A person finds an old car, they repair the engine, replace the worn parts, restore the body, and eventually the car runs again. But the psychological motivation behind this behavior often has very little to do with efficiency. In fact, restoring an old car is almost always less practical than buying a new one. It takes more time, more patience, more money, and sometimes more frustration. Yet the people who do it rarely see it that way, because for them, the process itself holds meaning. The act of restoring something forgotten carries a quiet emotional satisfaction. It is the feeling of reversing time, even if only slightly, of rescuing something that once mattered, of refusing to let the past disappear completely. Nostalgia often plays a powerful role in this behavior. Classic cars are rarely just machines. They are symbols of different eras, different styles, different cultural moments. For some people, restoring these vehicles becomes a way of reconnecting with a time that feels simpler, a time that feels more tangible, more mechanical, more human. Older machines required more interaction, more understanding. You could hear the engine, feel the vibrations, smell the fuel. The machine communicated with the person driving it, and restoring these cars recreates that relationship. It brings the human back into the machine. But nostalgia is only one layer of the psychology, because many people who restore classic cars are not simply trying to relive the past, they are trying to understand it. Every old machine carries a story, a design philosophy, a reflection of the era that produced it. When someone restores a classic car, they begin to see the decisions behind its creation, the engineering choices,
The craftsmanship, the materials. They begin to understand how people once built things, and this creates a quiet appreciation for the ingenuity of earlier generations. It becomes less about owning an old car and more about preserving a piece of human creativity. There is also a deeper psychological satisfaction that comes from repair itself. Modern life rarely allows people to fix things. Most objects today are disposable. When something breaks, it is replaced, thrown away, forgotten. But restoring a classic car rejects this mindset entirely. Instead of replacing something broken, the person restores it. They repair it. They bring it back to life. This creates a powerful emotional reward, because repair carries meaning. It tells the mind that not everything needs to be discarded. Some things can be saved. And this mindset often reflects something important about the personality of the people who do it. People who restore classic cars tend to value permanence. They are less comfortable with the culture of rapid replacement. They are more drawn to durability, craftsmanship, longevity. Where others see outdated machines, they see things that were built to last, objects that deserve patience rather than disposal. And this patience becomes part of their identity, because restoring a classic car is not a fast hobby. It demands slow progress, careful observation, and a willingness to work through long periods where the results are barely visible. Many restorers spend hours simply studying the machine, looking at diagrams, comparing parts, understanding how everything connects. This process requires a particular personality trait: curiosity. The kind of curiosity that enjoys complexity, that feels satisfaction in understanding how things work beneath the surface. For these individuals, the reward is not just the finished car. It is the knowledge gained along the way, the quiet mastery of a mechanical system that once seemed mysterious. There is also a strong element of control in this activity. Modern life often feels chaotic, unpredictable, fast. But restoring a classic car happens in a controlled environment: a garage, a workshop, a quiet space where progress is slow and deliberate. Each bolt tightened, each wire is connected, each surface is polished. In this space, the rest of the world becomes quieter. The person becomes fully focused on a single task. And psychologically, this creates a calming effect. The mind shifts from scattered thinking to deliberate attention, a kind of mechanical meditation. This is why many people who restore classic cars describe the process as therapeutic. The repetitive actions, the focused problem-solving, the gradual progress, all of it creates a sense of order. In a world that often feels unpredictable, the restoration process follows a clear logic. Every problem has a solution. Every broken part can be repaired, and each small improvement becomes visible. Another interesting psychological aspect is the relationship between restoration and identity. People rarely restore just any car. They restore specific models, specific eras, specific designs, and these choices often reveal something about how they see themselves. Someone restoring a rugged off-road vehicle may value resilience, adventure, durability. Someone restoring a sleek sports car from the 1960s may feel drawn to elegance, speed, a certain romantic image of the past. The vehicle becomes a mirror of personality, a symbolic extension of identity. But the identity aspect goes even deeper, because restoring a classic car also creates a sense of authorship. When someone buys a new car, they receive a finished product, a machine designed and assembled entirely by others. But a restored car becomes something different. It becomes personal. Every repaired part reflects the restorer's decisions, their patience, their craftsmanship. The final vehicle carries traces of their time and effort, and this creates a deeper emotional bond with the object. It is no longer just a car. It is something they helped bring back into existence. Society sometimes struggles to understand this mindset. To an outsider, restoring an old car can seem inefficient. Why spend years repairing something outdated when modern vehicles are faster, safer, and more convenient? From a purely practical perspective, the behavior appears irrational. But psychology often reveals a different story, because human behavior is rarely driven by practicality alone. People pursue meaning, connection, identity, and restoring a classic car offers all three. To some people, it looks like unnecessary work. To the person doing it, it feels like meaningful creation, because the value lies in the process, not just the result. Each stage of restoration tells a story. The moment the engine first turns again,
the first time the restored vehicle moves under its own power. These moments create emotional milestones that cannot be purchased. There is also a subtle form of rebellion in this activity. Modern culture constantly encourages speed, efficiency, instant results. Buy it now, replace it quickly, upgrade constantly. Restoration quietly resists this rhythm. It slows everything down. It requires patience, time, commitment. It values effort over convenience. And in a fast-moving world, that choice becomes quietly radical. But perhaps the most powerful psychological element behind restoring classic cars is the human relationship with time itself. Every restored vehicle carries evidence of decades: worn seats, faded paint, mechanical scars from earlier use. These marks tell a story. They show that the object has lived a life. When someone restores that vehicle, they are not erasing time. They are interacting with it, preserving it, respecting it. The past remains visible even within the restoration, and this relationship with time can feel deeply meaningful, because human beings have always been fascinated by continuity, the idea that something from another era can still exist in the present, still functions, still move. A restored car becomes a moving artifact, a piece of history that continues to breathe, to drive, to exist in the modern world. And for the person restoring it, this continuity creates a unique sense of belonging. They become part of the object's story. The original designers built it, the first owners drove it, and now, decades later, someone new has chosen to preserve it. Each generation leaves its mark. Each caretaker becomes part of the chain. This idea of stewardship often resonates deeply with people who restore classic cars. They do not always see themselves as owners. They see themselves as caretakers, temporary guardians of something older than themselves. Their role is not simply to possess the machine, but to protect it for the future, to ensure that the object continues to exist long after they are gone. And this mindset reflects something profound about human psychology. People want to feel connected to something larger than their own lifespan, something that extends beyond their individual timeline. Restoration offers exactly that. It allows a person to participate in a story that began before them and will continue after them. There is also a subtle emotional symbolism in repairing old machines, because in many ways, restoring something broken mirrors a deeper human hope. The hope that damaged things can still be repaired, that age does not erase value, that time does not necessarily mean decline. When someone restores a classic car, they are participating in a quiet philosophy, the belief that with enough patience, care, and attention, something worn can become meaningful again. And this philosophy often reflects how the restorer sees the world itself, not as disposable, but as repairable, not as temporary, but as worth preserving. It is a worldview rooted in respect for the past and responsibility for the future. This is why many restorers speak about their projects with unusual calmness. They know the process will take time. They expect setbacks. They accept that progress will be slow. But they also know that patience eventually transforms the object in front of them. And that quiet transformation becomes deeply satisfying. Because in the end, restoring a classic car is not simply about the machine. It is about the relationship between a person and time, between patience and progress, between memory and identity. The car becomes a canvas where all these elements meet. And when the engine finally runs again, when the restored vehicle moves under its own power, the moment carries a quiet symbolism. It is not just a machine returning to life. It is the visible result of patience, care, and belief in restoration itself.
And perhaps that is the deeper psychology behind people who restore classic cars. They are not simply repairing metal and machinery. They are expressing a philosophy about the world, a belief that the past still matters, that effort still matters, that some things are worth saving even when the process is long and difficult. Because what looks like an old car to most people looks like unfinished meaning to them, and restoring it is their way of completing the story.